Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be making a healthy whole grain pie crust with fresh flour. And this is going to be a butter crust because in my opinion they're just the best. We're not going to use completely fresh flour because when you're using whole grain flours there's a lot of bran and germ that remains, which is what makes it so healthy for you. But it's also why you can really have a hard time trying to make a flaky crust if you use all whole wheat because the bran and the germ want to absorb more water. So we're cheating a little bit, but this is still way healthier than anything that you could buy as far as a pre-made crust at the grocery store, because you do have enough bran and germ and nutrition in what you are adding of the fresh flour that you can compensate for the small amount of white flour that we're going to use. And I am using organic all-purpose white flour for the portion that I'm using here. I'm going to do this in the food processor that is an attachment for my Bosch mixer today, but you can totally do this recipe by hand. So if you don't have a food processor, that's not a big deal. You can use a pastry cutter and you can make it by hand. So I have just gotten the dough out of the food processor and I just divided it in half because this was for a double pie crust recipe, but I'll put the recipe for a single crust in the comments and descriptions below, and that way you'll be able to make one, or if you just want a single pie crust for like maybe a coconut pie or something like that, or this is for the double crust for more like a fruit pie. So I've actually got it out of the food processor and I put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes just to chill the dough again, because the processing kind of warms it up a little bit. So this is just to chill it out. And then just on some wax paper, I just dusted it with a small amount of flour. You don't want to over dry it. And this is going to feel a little softer than a pie crust with all white flour or all purpose, because again, the bran has to be compensated for. So I'm just going to kind of press it out into a disc, and we're going to start shaping it that way. See here. I'm going to make sure that this side actually has a little flour too, because we don't want it to stick when we pick it up. So you're just going to kind of move it around a little bit. And this pie crust is so much better for you than any other kind of pie crust because they use hydrogenated oils and shortening in the pie crust that you buy. So this is just such a better way to make a pie crust, and it's so easy. And then I'm actually just have a little bit of flour here, so I'm just gonna flour my roller. If you have a large dough roller, then you're able to use that as well. And this is very pliable, as you can see, so it's going to be really easy to roll out. There's my towel here. And then we're just going to shape it for this 9-inch pie plate. It's okay to go smaller with your pie plate, but you really don't want to go any larger. So this is not a deep dish pie plate. It's just a basic 9-inch pie plate. If you want to do deep dish, you would need to keep a little more than half the dough so that the bottom has what it needs. So you want this bigger than your pie plate. And, whoops. Then we're just going to actually roll this up. If you're using a dough roller, you can use that to roll this up, but I'm just going to flip it over here, and then I'll show you that in 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to just roll this up, and again, that's why we wanted to make sure we had some flour all over it. So if you have a dough roller, an actual full-size dough roller, you can just roll that up, but you just want to lay it along the edge here so that you kind of have enough for the whole thing. See how we did there? And then you just want to kind of push it over to fit. You want to have overlapping edges because that's what's going to help you tuck it around the sides to keep your crust from sliding down. So one thing that you can do here is decide if you want to do like little shapes or impressions here. You can just push your middle finger through and you can make indentations like that and just kind of go along the side, and then you just can pinch it back up. There's several things that you can do. I'm actually just going to overlay this along the edge and take a little knife here, and we're just going to cut off the excess because this is going to be a double crust pie. So this part of the crust doesn't really matter if it's going to be all pretty or not because I'm going to seal it with the top crust. So we're going to cut this off, and then I'm actually going to get this ready and put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes before I fill it. So the rule is chill it before you fill it because that's going to, again, give you that nice flaky crust. So we're just going to cut all of that off around, and you can make pretty designs with this leftover crust as well. And if you'll just use the edge of your pie plate, that'll give you the edge that you need to make a good cut along here. And then we're going to stick this in the fridge for 30 minutes. And that's how I do my homemade healthy pie crust. And after you get it out of the fridge, when it's been chilled for 30 minutes, you can put whatever filling in you would like, and you just bake according to that recipe's direction. And you can also look at my next video, which is going to be a really awesome apple pie with this pie crust recipe. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe below.